on the next Outdoor Virginia.
For information on outdoor recreation and related activities in Virginia, call 1-800-827-3325.
This is Florida's News Channel, brought to you exclusively by Comcast.
Now, news that's always home. Local news from inside Tallahassee and throughout Florida, 24 hours a day. This is Florida's News Channel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gordon Graham from Studio C. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Jeff Ryder in Studio B. Here's a look at our top story. Hurricane George is leaving its mark on the Gulf Coast and leaving many homeowners to worry about its aftermath. Laura Penzer looks at Florida's troubled insurance history.
Hurricane Andrew prompted Florida's $11 billion hurricane catastrophe fund. It's the state's financial reassurance every time a storm threatens.
Because we have in place now this state fund that helps pay claims, there's no reason why the companies should say after a hurricane like this, as it looks now, that rates need to go up.
Insurance companies could cover $3 billion in losses today, and the disaster fund an additional $2.5 billion. It's unlikely Hurricane George will wipe out that reserve.
Another Hurricane Andrew creates chaos and potentially higher rates. Something short of Andrew, probably we should be okay.
If George makes landfall, it's improbable insurance premiums will go up, but he'll put pressure on the industry, and that could cause hikes down the road. Insurance rate increases must be approved by the insurance commissioner, and he may be less likely to do so since he's had success in getting most insurance companies to reduce the rates by 2 to 7% recently. Though insurance companies and the state are more fiscally sound, storms still intimidate to the point where the insurance industry may never fully revert back to its pre-Andrew days.
Some Tallahasseans are heading west to help out after Hurricane George. 18 local units of the National Guard and Red Cross officials are traveling to Pensacola to help assess damages and to feed the 20,000 or so who are without power. Some Florida consumers say greedy retailers raised prices on emergency supplies such as plywood, gas, and candles in anticipation of Hurricane George. As Sarah Walker tells us, the state is looking into hundreds of price gouging complaints.
The Attorney General's office has been busy taking phone calls from people complaining of price gouging.
Are they raising that $2.50 per gallon?
They've already heard close to 400 complaints.
Oh, that's a pretty good number. I think one reason that we're seeing so many is we have a toll-free number out, a 1-800 line out, so folks can call.
The complaints about both small and large retailers are coming from across South Florida. Florida law prohibits dramatic price increases during a declared emergency on necessary commodities like lumber, food, shelter, water, and gasoline. They face a $1,000 fine per violation, not exceeding $25,000 per day.
We've had some calls about gasoline prices, several calls regarding increased hotel and motel rates, increase in the cost of plywood.
Meanwhile, in North Florida, residents are getting ready and stores are stocking their shelves with the essentials.
It's been really hectic. We've been really busy. We've sold quite a few generators. We haven't had any requests for sending shipping stuff down south.
But there is a need to build up the blood supply. Christy Crump heard there could be a need for blood in the aftermath of Hurricane George.
It makes me feel good to do something. I mean, this is something that doesn't take 15 minutes of your time to come in. And it's not a painful process like a lot of people think it is.
Hopefully a gift that won't be needed as George swirls his way through the Gulf.
Alligator Point residents are keeping a close eye on the sky. While Hurricane George is bearing down to the west, the storm is creating high tides in some other areas. Earlier this month, Hurricane Earl bashed this stretch of coastline, washing away roads and ripping off roofs.
And now for an update on current weather conditions, here's Stephanie Walker.
And good evening, everyone. We have some good news to tell you about this evening. Hurricane George has been downgraded to a tropical storm, so we have tropical storm warnings in effect from Destin, Florida, all the way over to Grand Isle, Louisiana. We also have confirmed reports of a tornado touchdown earlier this afternoon in Panama City, so we have a tornado watch in effect until 1 a.m. in the Central Daylight Time Zone. So if you are in that time zone, be aware that you are under a tornado watch until 1 a.m. this evening. Here's your sand and sea forecast. There is a small craft advisory out, so small craft are advised to stay in port this evening. For tonight, expect variably cloudy skies with scattered showers and thunderstorms around the region. We'll see a low temperature of 74 degrees, and then for tomorrow, expect more clouds than sunshine. We'll see the high get up to about 88 degrees, and then the next 4 days, wet weather for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, we should be drying out. We'll see in about 10 minutes with more weather.
The National Guard has been called in to help with security and cleanup in the wake of Hurricane George. That tops our look at Florida in a minute. The Florida National Guard has 600 guardsmen on duty in the Keys. They'll be clearing roads, acting as security, and assessing damage. In the Panhandle, the National Guard has rescued about 200 people from homes flooded by the storm. Portions of the Panhandle's coast are still taking a beating from Hurricane George. The Wakulla River has a swift current. The surf is up in St. George, and just east of Lanark Village, water reached docks and went to the edge of Highway 98. Just a few weeks ago, parts of Highway 98 were destroyed by Hurricane Earl. Hurricane George is pounding the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and Alabama. George is still packing hurricane-force winds. A hurricane warning was issued for the Gulf Coast from Destin west to Grand Isle, Louisiana. And that's a look at Florida in a minute.
Hurricane George did not cross over Central Florida, but Orlando did get a slight taste of his fury. George sent a tornado across this area, uprooting trees and tearing down power lines. The twister even took the tops off several houses. There are no reports of injuries. As Hurricane George continues to batter the Gulf Coast, boat owners in the Florida Keys are now picking up the pieces. George tossed many boats around like toys at this marina in Marathon. Several trees and power lines were also knocked down. No word yet on total damage. Teachers help students define who they are, but kids need both male and female role models. As Linka Garish tells us, Florida schools don't have enough male teachers.
The answer is the relationship between people and their surroundings. Yellow?
Jim Hughes is something of a rare commodity at Lakeside Elementary School in Orange Park. He's taught there for the past 20 years and was even selected as the school's Teacher of the Year in '97. But Hughes is also part of a select group of men who've chosen teaching as a career.
The kids, it's just something very special to work with the elementary school students, and I wish more men, would make that plunge into that part of education.
Clay County School District officials were unable to provide us with current figures on how many male teachers there are in the district. But to give you some idea, here at Lakeside Elementary, only about 10% of the teachers are male.
Even now, I find that when we look in the records to find our applicants, we just don't find very many men on the elementary level, and I don't know if that's because of a societal thing where there just never have been many male teachers, or whether they are just more attracted to the upper grade levels.
Okay, line up.
But Hughes isn't one of them. He has taught everything from 1st to 6th grade. He reminisces that his love for teaching began as a teenager when he tutored other kids. This elementary school teacher believes his students get something from him they couldn't from a female teacher, a male role model.
Unfortunately, in so many of our areas right now, so many people come from single-family, single-parent homes, and a lot of times the one parent that's not there is the father. And at times I feel like I am the father figure for some of these students.
I think it's great. I mean, he's really nice. He is my next door neighbor, though, but that's okay.
But some students don't find it so unusual to have a male teacher.
It's the same. It's like any other teachers.
No matter, this teacher encourages other men to get into elementary education since he can say from experience it's been a very rewarding and fulfilling 20 years. In Orange Park, Linka Garish, Florida's News Channel.
Well, there's no time like the present if you want to buy a new car. A price war is waging between car companies. Offers range from lower prices to rebates to low financing. Analysts say GM is responsible for the war. It's trying to regain sales lost during a recent strike.
Just ahead on Florida's News Channel, we'll check this hour's top stories from around the nation. And later, we'll show you a new school bringing hope to autistic children and their families. Your News Channel returns in 2 minutes.
We're in Santa Rosa County in Florida's Panhandle, where lottery dollars are helping to build new schools.
We're very much into the project. You can see the walls are going up.
In Santa Rosa County, the population has doubled in about 7 years.
This is really going to be a nice facility.
We'll have students where we're walking right now.
Cafeteria here, and you've got administration over there and a gym over there.
To have my numbers lowered in my classroom, it's worth it.
My daughter next year will be in the new school that's being built with Florida lottery dollars.
Florida Lottery. When you play, we all win.
It's going to make a difference statewide. It's not just here, it's everywhere.
Hi, I'm Gordon Graham, part of the team bringing you 24-hour news. With over 30 news bureaus throughout the state, we're your best source for the news you need. News from around the block, news from throughout Florida. We have weather 6 times every hour. Weather on the 5s, accurate up-to-the-minute forecast you can depend on. It's all here, always home. Florida's News Channel, brought to you by Comcast.
Hi, I'm Susan Taylor, Editor-in-Chief of Essence Magazine. We always encourage our readers to strive for excellence. That's something that Essence has in common with the Girl Scouts. Since 1912, the Girl Scouts has provided girls with an environment in which they can make friends, learn useful skills, and develop their leadership potential. My daughter and I both were Girl Scouts, and it's open to all who share its values. Call your local Girl Scout Council to find out how to join.
Tarantulas are poisonous. Napoleon was short. You can't get a Mercedes for anywhere near $40,000.
Fact is, tarantulas are harmless to humans. Napoleon was tall for his day, and there are 5 Mercedes between $31,000 and $41,000. Hey, you'll learn something new every day.
This news and weather update is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. When you play, we all win.
U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno is said to be in good condition today after spending the night in the hospital. That tops our look at America in a minute. Reno was hospitalized after collapsing from a quick drop in blood pressure. She was attending church in Maryland when she suddenly fainted. Thousands of people remain in shelters and hotels in the wake of Hurricane George. Many evacuees headed as far north as Memphis, Tennessee. Airlines in New Orleans canceled all flights in and out. But this time the Big Easy was spared serious damage. Thousands of people have lost electrical power. So far, the storm is being blamed for 2 deaths in Louisiana. George is slowing down as it moves inland, increasing the threat of further flooding. In Greenville, New York, a police officer killed his entire family and then himself. Investigators have no motive for the murders and suicide. The officer's 7-year-old daughter called 911 and reported he was hitting her mother. Moments later, 38-year-old Patrick Fitzgerald apparently shot his wife and daughter before turning the gun on himself. It looked like batting practice as Mark McGwire finished his record-setting baseball season. McGwire ended the season with 70 home runs. Mac had 5 home runs in the final series against Montreal. McGwire says even he is in awe of his accomplishment. What kind of weather can we expect this evening? Here's meteorologist Stephanie Walker to tell us.
It's pretty soggy out there this morning. We have a humidity of 100%. Our current temperature is 75 degrees. We're watching Hurricane George this morning. It is now a Category 4. It has a very nicely defined eye you can see right there. The storm is sitting 290 miles east of Guadalupe and moving due west. Should hit the island sometime early this week. Now in the Gulf, Tropical storm Hermine has made landfall. It is about 35 miles west-southwest of New Orleans. There is a tropical storm watch in effect from Destin down to Pensacola. Tropical storm warning into Morgan City. These areas could see coastal flooding this morning. Now at home, we've seen a few showers just south of the city, but they are moving northward, and for the rest of the day, expect mostly cloudy skies, showers and thunderstorms, a high of 85, or winds are out of the south. Then tonight, a low of 75, continued showers, winds out of the southeast.
Many autistic children are finding help in one Orlando area school. Mary Zager shows us at any income level, these kids are having their needs met.
Darlin Galloway's 3.5-year-old son, CH, is autistic. Darlin says in order to give him a better chance at a normal life, she and her husband decided to move from Key West to Orlando.
I really have a high hope now that he's going to have a functioning, happy life.
That hope comes from this school. Princeton House Charter School is one of only 2 schools in the state exclusively for autistic children.
We know that these children can learn. They're very bright, and if we can get them to learn, if we can get them to modify their behavior, if we can get them to start talking and communicating, there's no limit to what they can do.
School Director Carol Tucker says autistic children are often in their own world. When you try to reach them, they act out. But reaching them and teaching them appropriate behavior is the goal at this school. While screaming may not be part of a normal classroom setting, it is part of the process at this school.
That's what I want to hear, because that's telling me that the children are being asked to do new things that they don't want to do, but they're learning.
Last year, this school was a private school, costing each parent about $10,000 a year. This year, they changed to a charter school, meaning it's under the public school system, funded by the state, and free for each child.
As a charter, we could take any child, whether they could afford us or not, and our goal is to help all children, no matter what their income level is.
Tucker says Princeton House is allotted the same amount of money per child as any other public school. They are able to afford 1 teacher per every 3 students because their building has been donated from a nearby church, and they don't provide transportation to and from school. But what they are providing is making a difference. In just a short time, Darlin is already seeing positive changes in her son.
He didn't adhere to simple commands. He wouldn't come here. He wouldn't stand up or sit down, but now he's coming here, standing up, turning around, clapping his hands on demand. Much better.
If CH continues with his progress, in a few years he'll be able to graduate from Princeton House and attend a traditional public school. And that's the goal for all of these children. In Orlando, Mary Zagers, Florida's News Channel.
The latest sports and health news just ahead. We'll be right back.
Your mom's probably like mine. She's watched over you, listened and loved you. And you're supposed to show her your appreciation with a card or candy? That just doesn't seem like enough. You want to give her something equal to all that she has given you. So do what I did. Give her more time. Remind her to have routine screenings and checkups. A regular pap smear, mammogram, and blood test are the best way to stay in good health. For all the time she gave you, give her some back.
What's going on in the Gulf of Mexico?
Well, Joe, the storm in the Gulf is getting more organized.
And it could be a hurricane before the day's over.
We're also watching quite a few cells popping up around Florida.
Having the technology to report the weather is important, but what's more important are the people who report the weather. Turn to Joe Wiseman, Wendy Madison, Ryan Goswick, Stephanie Walker, and Mark Collins for dependable weather on the fives. Always home. Florida's News Channel, brought to you by Comcast.
Tarantulas are poisonous. Napoleon was short. You can't get a Mercedes for anywhere near $40,000.
Fact is, tarantulas are harmless to humans. Napoleon was tall for his day, and there are 5 Mercedes between $31,000 and $41,000. Hey, you'll learn something new every day.
Hi everybody, I'm Dave Reed and it's time for sports. NFL Spotlight is on the NFC Central tonight and a pair of teams who might just bury themselves if they dig a hole any deeper. The Bucs are 1-2, the Lions 0-3. Look for Tampa to go after rookie quarterback Charlie Batch all night tonight. That game kicks off at 8:15. Well, it wasn't easy, but the Jaguars remain undefeated with a 27-22 win over the Oilers yesterday. Rookie Fred Taylor continued to shine in place of James Stewart, rushing for 116 yards in the come-from-behind victory. It's the best start in team history, but the Jags had to overcome an off day by Mark Brunell and 3 turnovers. The defense made it happen for the Jags with 4 quarterback sacks and 2 interceptions. College football now, the Noles and the Gators both up a couple of spots in the polls after weekend wins. FSU particularly impressive against a traditional power in USC. It took a while, but the Noles heated up in the second half and KO'd the Trojans Saturday by a score of 30-10. Chris Winkie, 228 yards, 2 touches, while third-team running back Jeff Chaney led the Noles on the ground with 89 yards in place of Travis Minor, who was suffering from an ankle sprain. Chaney hopes to build on that effort.
I hope so. I mean, I came in, I played hard, I did my part. I mean, he got hurt, unfortunately, and I had to come in and play. I mean, I hope I do get a chance to play a lot more.
And yes, baseball's playoffs have been expanded by 1 game. Tonight, the Cubs and the Giants battle. It'll be a winner-take-all to the victor goes the spoils, and the next round of the playoffs, whoever wins gets the Braves. One subplot, incidentally, stats from tonight's game count for the regular season, so if Sammy can hit 4, he'll tie the Mark McGwire for the Major League record. While Sosa and the Cubbies take a giant swing, how about another round of applause for Big Mark? Big Mac attacked for numbers 69 and 70 yesterday. What a finish to a monster season by baseball's new home run king. Bucs and the Lions tonight on Monday Night Football. We'll bring the highlights later on tonight. I'm Dave Reed. Later.
A simple kit could be a lifesaver for people who are allergic to bee stings. Stephanie Pierce knows firsthand. She stepped on a yellow jacket's hive. The bee sting kit has an injection that could save your life.
Called epinephrine, and you start giving them doses of this as rapidly as possible, and it reverses the symptoms of cardiorespiratory collapse almost immediately.
See your doctor for a bee sting kit. Hurricane George has been downgraded. Stephanie Walker is here to tell us about that and the rest of the weather.
Hello, Gordon, and hello, everyone. That's right. That's the good news. Hurricane George is now a tropical storm. The bad news is that he's moving very slowly and still seeing a lot of rain across the panhandle. Let's first start off by taking a look at a satellite image of the Gulf Coast, and we see what is now Tropical Storm George. It has been downgraded since earlier this afternoon and has maximum sustained winds of about 70 miles per hour and is moving just east of north and very slowly. It's nearly stationary, only moving at about 2 or 3 miles per hour. Now, because of that, if we take a look at derived precipitation totals from Doppler radar, we can see quite a bit of rainfall has fallen since Saturday over the Panhandle. Parts of Walton and Okaloosa counties have seen upwards of 14 inches of rain over the past couple of days. Because of all the rain and the coastal flooding that's been going on, we still have our tropical storm warnings in effect from Destin, Florida, running all the way across the coast to Grand Isle, Louisiana. Now, we also have a tornado watch in effect through 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time, so if you are in the Central Daylight Time zone, you will be under a tornado watch tonight, again for the counties in extreme western of the Panhandle of Florida. If you're going to be traveling anywhere around North Florida tomorrow, expect plenty of wet weather in Panama City, Tallahassee, as Tropical Storm George makes its way off to the north and to the east. High temperatures will be in the 80s, upper 80s, 86 for Panama City. We'll see a high temperature of 88 degrees for Tallahassee. Jacksonville, just a few isolated thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon. We'll see a high of 87 degrees. And then as we head down to Central Florida, St. Pete and Orlando area, it looks like you folks will stay dry for tomorrow with temperatures in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees as well. As you head down to South Florida, plenty of sunshine to enjoy. Temperatures will be around the 90-degree mark. We'll see 91 for Naples, 90 for West Palm Beach, a high temperature of 91 degrees in Miami, again under plenty of sunshine. If we take a look at conditions across the nation, here's our Tropical Storm George. Now, this front is going to play a factor in just how fast and just how far north and east Tropical Storm George moves up the coast. The Northeast seeing plenty of sunshine as high pressure is in control, and high pressure in control in the Pacific Northwest as well. And it's currently 82 degrees outside, the humidity 79%, the winds are a bit gusty out of the south southeast. If we take a look at the satellite photograph right now, we're now looking at Tropical Storm George. It was downgraded earlier this afternoon from a hurricane to a tropical storm, so now we're looking at maximum sustained winds at about 70 miles per hour. Doppler radar, we can look at all the wet weather that's falling across much of the Florida Panhandle right now, and we'll take you back a few hours, and it was this line of storms right here that pushed through the Panama City region that caused a tornado to touch down earlier this afternoon. We saw some roofs blown off of houses. Now, we do have a tropical storm warning in effect from Destin, Florida, all the way across the Gulf Coast and all the way extending to Grand Isle, Louisiana. What can we expect for tonight? There is a tornado watch in effect in the Central Daylight Time Zone, so if you are in that time zone, be aware that there is a tornado watch out, and expect variably cloudy skies tonight. More clouds and sunshine tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms, a high of 88.
Local National Guard and Red Cross crews are helping out Panhandle neighbors hurt by George. 18 National Guard reserves are leaving for Pensacola. The Red Cross is also packed on and on the way with food trucks.
Right now, we understand there are from 15 to 20,000 people without utilities in the Escambia, Santa Rosa County area. The kitchen's deploying, setting up this afternoon to be able to start serving hot meals tomorrow at lunchtime.
Red Cross can serve 10,000 meals a day out of the trucks. A Salt Lake City man has an unusual way of predicting the weather. It's not a new technology, it's a turtle named E.T. For 10 years, the turtle has predicted the coming of winter for her owner. Tosh Kano is the boss at the Salt Lake County Public Works Department. He says he budgets for overtime, even orders road salt based on his turtle's forecast. Although dependable, Kano admits he does take some flack from his family. You're up to date. I'm Gordon Graham. Thanks for joining us. The news continues in 2 minutes.